I never thought that $40 worth of marijuana could have such an impact on our lives. It's unimaginable, all the things that we have had to jump through just to be able to live, just to be able to take care of our families, just to be able to be assets to the community. I felt like it's really because of where I come from and who I am and what I look like that all these things were able to transpire and happen the way they happen. In 2012, I began my journey for my license as a marriage and family therapist, and for the past almost 10 years have been struggling and fighting with the California Board of Behavioral Sciences to get my California marriage and family therapy license. Okay. Nair, you want to come up here? This is kind of like our Foster and Banks Facebook. So all these pictures are like pictures of us when we first got the felony and we were doing work. In 2012, my husband, my mother, and I, who are the founders of Foster and Banks Walk in Faith Foundation, had signed a sublease with a pastor in a church in Compton. And we were going to begin our community services, tutoring, mentoring, and food drives and helping the youth. So we were going out to celebrate, my husband and I, and he had got a call from someone that he thought was a friend. I'm just asking him, can he, give him a few bucks worth of marijuana. So my husband gave him that. He made a sale, and as we were leaving the parking lot, then we were surrounded by police with guns drawn, pointed at our windows, telling us to get out. I was scared, I was nervous. I think I was in shock. I didn't think it was real initially because I had never been arrested, never had any problems with the legal system. So it was very degrading and very shocking.
Jamila's husband was accused of selling the man $40 worth of marijuana. $40 worth of marijuana. Jamila was just present for the encounter. She was not accused of making the sale, talking to him. Jamila was just physically present. Ultimately, Jamila was convicted of felony for the sale of marijuana.
We were given 3 years of formal probation where we had to check in with a probation officer once a month. We had to pay cost recovery once a month. We had to complete about 300 hours of community service. It was really a traumatic experience at the time.
At the time, me and Jamila, we had just got married. Everything was new. We had a brand new baby. It was just a difficult strain on our relationship. You feel like you did this, I feel I put her in that situation. I can't help but to feel the blame for it.
Being like a young mother and a young wife and parent, first interacted with the justice system. For me, it was just a lot for, $40. And I just couldn't understand how we were convicted and given 3 years of, all these different things that we had to do.
When Jamila was convicted in 2012, she reported her conviction to the Board of Behavioral Science. They did not respond to her for several years. Jamila completed her criminal probation with the state in 2015. At that time, the Board of Behavioral Science responded to her and decided that despite that Jamila had done her criminal probation, that was not enough for them, and they wanted to put her on their own probationary system.
I was kind of surprised because it was 3 years later. I, at the time, thought, well, I finished my probation. I did all these community service hours. I've been an asset to my community. I should be okay with this. And basically, they were just like, well, we don't care that you already served your time with the state. You need to serve more time with us. This is just a packet of paperwork from the Board of Behavioral Sciences. So I was actually done with all my hours and all my service and everything required for this license in 2015. Basically, the Board of Behavioral Sciences decided to give me an additional 5 years probation and about $20,000 plus in cost recovery and random drug testing and additional supervision and all these requirements for me to get this license.
Despite the fact that she had a master's degree, had done all of this work to be eligible to be a licensed family therapist, they viewed her conviction as a scarlet letter to say that you're not worthy of working in this field.
It was very traumatic, very hard to be working, to have extra supervision, to have random drug tests. All the money that I was making was basically going to my probation, and my family, was continuing to struggle to just survive and eat and get clothes and our basics.
Dear God, thank you for the food we're about to receive for nourishment in our body. And bless the hands that made this food.
This is the letter that they sent me. They denied my application as an associate marriage and family therapist. So they let me take the test. They approved my hours. All this costs money. And then they denied me after I paid for the test, took the test, and passed the test. I just felt like they couldn't hear me and that I didn't have a voice. And so then I emailed Root and Rebound, and then Eliana contacted me.
I agreed to take on Jamila's case because I understood how grossly unfair it was. The story was so unfair that it was hard to keep up with and didn't even make sense.
She made me feel like, okay, like you're not crazy. This was not fair, and that I deserved legal representation.
I strongly believe that Jamila was in the situation that she was in because she was poor and because she was Black. Jamila is a very educated woman. She has a master's degree. She has worked very hard. However, the war on drugs has perpetuated this notion that we should use drugs as a proxy for race to perpetuate racial discrimination. Jamila is very unique, but Jamila's story is very common.
I feel like there are a lot of systems that are set up against us. Society gives up on you, and it gives up on you early. And they tell you what you can't do and who you can't be. And that's what the Board of Behavioral Sciences basically did to me. They said that even though you paid thousands of dollars to go to school and for this degree, even though you committed, given thousands of hours, dedicating your time, your energy, your love, your compassion to kids, to youth, to family, it doesn't matter. You did this, you broke this law, and now, we're punishing you.
Root and Rebound had been supporting Assembly Bill 2138, which expands opportunities for individuals with conviction histories to get occupational licenses. It became active July of 2020. It worked out in Jamila's favor because now this law that we had worked so hard to get pushed applied to her, and I had the privilege of being one of the first attorneys in the state to actually be able to argue this law.
The ultimate decision by the Board of Behavioral Sciences was to grant me an unrestricted California marriage and family therapy license.
In addition to that, Jamila owed the board about $10,000 to $15,000 in fees, and we had all of that debt wiped out for Jamila.
Oh my God! It just felt like, wow! It was just shocking. It just felt like a weight had been lifted.
So now Jamila has a clean slate, and she's practicing as a licensed marriage and family therapist, and able to use the years of schooling that she's gone through, and able to use all of her experience serving her community and actually make money in a way that she's able to sustain herself and her family.
Hi.
Hi, nice to see you. I am a California licensed marriage family therapist. I've been saying that and repeating that for months. It feels like it's finally worth it. All the trials, the challenges, the issues, it means something, it matters. Having the freedom to be able to, build the life that, my family deserves, and just being able to hold this license after all these different things that I've had to endure, it's just beautiful that I'm able to now say I am a licensed California marriage and family therapist.
Okay. Bye.
Working with Jamila was a really fulfilling experience, and it was really cool to see how holistic our work is, that it's all intertwined. The policy work falls over into our direct services work and being able to, apply these policies for people. Within our New Leaf initiative, we are really excited to continue to help people navigate the occupational licensing sphere, because this is a huge class of people who have drug convictions and are now being denied economic opportunity because of something minor in their past.
Just because you are labeled as at risk, just because you're labeled as a felon, just because you're labeled as poor, just because you're labeled as all these things, you can still break the odds, you can still beat the risk factors, and that's called resiliency.